Awooga. What's up to all our sidekicks and henchfolk out there in the mother-loving Geek Nation? You're currently tuning into the Bellicose CultPop Podcast, episode 42, a show where we talk about TV, movies, Kirby dots, perhaps, and all the other things that scratch your nerdy itches. I would like to take a moment, and not a second more, to say that this is our 30th anniversary episode with
That's not accurate.
Dylan.
No. This is our 30th episode with Dylan.
Yeah. Oh, I guess it's not. Oh, shit. I guess an anniversary has to be annual, huh?
It's an annual-versary.
Shoot. Episode-versary?
I
This
guess
is our
verse.
30th episode-versary.
Yes, because verse, probably like transverse or whatever, means like across or whatever it at the root means. So, yeah, it's our 30th.
You had to fucking
epiversary.
ruin it. Happy anniversary, Dylan.
I vastly improved it. Happy episode-versary, Dylan.
It's
Been 30 ones. Here's to 30 or more.
We're coming to you live from the Young Junk HQ, a bomb-ass podcast production space here in the Manayunk of Philadelphia. Yeah. I'm your time-displaced host, Johnny Destructo of Johnny Destructo's Hero Complex, 4327 Main Street. It's a rad-ass comic shop filled with rad-ass stuff that your rad-ass should come by. With me tonight are Brian.
It is I.
There he is.
The multitudes.
Also in a booth, the aforementioned trusty Dylan, the producer, Dylan the Great. Remember, if anything went wrong, and it already has gone wrong because this is our second attempt at this, Dylan did it.
Sorry.
You didn't chime in.
Was I supposed to do that?
Dylan did it.
No, that
Okay,
was
one,
Dylan.
two,
Yeah,
three.
It was
Dylan
Dylan's
did it.
fault that I didn't chime in earlier.
Oh, it's his fault. You didn't chime in.
It must have been, given
Yeah.
your earlier statement. No, I can't stand behind that. Dylan does a wonderful job.
He does the best job. Being our only producer, he's the best of them. Eddie Madison's in the chat, like you should be, dear listener / viewer / massager. Come, my feet are sore. Come rub them. Eddie Madison says, hello there. How are you doing? Well, Eddie, I'm going to throw it to Brian. Brian, how are you doing?
I'm well. Eddie, how are you? And how are you, JD?
Aw.
Yeah.
I'm fine.
Okay.
I am so tired.
Yeah?
I'm so tired.
Oh.
And also, I have to get $7,500 worth of mouth work done.
That sucks.
Yeah.
Wow. I forgot to put deodorant on when I came by, right? I showered right before coming here.
Yeah.
And for one of the few times in my life,
Yeah.
I did not put on deodorant. I was walking down and I'm like, wait a second.
Dag nabbit.
Yeah.
I'm
Hey,
glad that
JD.
there's no one else on the show so that we can have a little bit further distance.
Little distance.
Oh, what's up?
Your wire.
Yeah, tuck
Can
your
I
wire.
tuck my sorry, guys. I got to tuck my wire.
Mm,
Leave Dylan alone, says Terry Leahy.
excellent.
Where am I tucking it? Here? Like this? Did I tuck? Like
Yeah, you got it.
yeah.
Anyway, for those of you listening, JD's wire is now tucked.
Yeah.
So,
Several things are tucked. Email us at coldpopgo@gmail.com, just like no one else did this week. So I won't do a letters segment because
No.
we don't have any letters.
Nothing.
But we can do my favorite segment, which is
what is it?
a segment I lovingly call What You Been Up To This Week, Huh? And it is a segment in which I will ask our panel
Yes.
of co-hosts, what you been up to this week, huh? I'm going to start with, hey, Dylan,
Whoa.
what you been up to this week, huh? I know you weren't.
Yeah. Not too much. Do you listen to anything interesting? Yeah. Oh, great music. No.
I hear that's good.
Okay.
Cool.
You know, nothing too nothing
You didn't watch
too
any
crazy.
TV shows, any movies?
Let me think.
All right,
have
you
any-
think about it, and
do you
I'm
have any
going to talk in
relations?
the middle of that.
Brian, what you been
Hey.
up to this week, huh?
Oh, that's an interesting quote. Now, let's see. Hang on a second.
Oh, God damn.
What was I?
Yeah.
All right, so I started watching a show called The Great, which I've been interested in for a little while. It is what it calls itself an occasionally true story of Catherine the Great and her rise to power in Russia.
In the 1990s.
Yes. By a different counting system
Uh-huh.
that began 1,990 years before the events of the story.
Yeah.
No, I think it was, what was it, 1700s,
I don't
something
know.
like that.
It's your show that you're watching.
No, yes, I am watching it. Anyway, it's Elle Fanning is Catherine, or Ekaterina is a mispronunciation of what her real name would have been.
Oh, okay.
And Peter is played by Nicholas Hoult.
I like that guy.
Oh, he's so good.
He is
and
really
she's
good.
really good. Like, they're both excellent. Sacha Dhawan, who played the Master in Doctor Who most recently. It's a television show, JD.
Wah, wah.
And he plays like a leading politician in the court. And her friend is this woman whose family was nobility up until they annoyed the largely incompetent mercurial Peter, and he made them servants.
Oh, what?
Yeah. So as a lesson, right?
That's cool.
Yeah, it's
Well, I mean,
it's an interesting
story.
idea,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
So she's her like friend at court and like true friend, and Catherine is very unhappy to begin with because Peter sucks. Like he's not completely terrible, but he's this like jackass.
Yeah, I feel like if
violent
someone
man.
describes you as not completely terrible, you're terrible enough.
I mean, yeah, especially if it's a real person you're talking about, right? I mean, but characters.
Sure.
We should apply that to real people too.
Yeah.
But yeah, like he is sleeping frequently with his best friend's wife in the open, and he's like, "I'm going to sleep with your wife," and he's like, "All right."
Oh, cool.
You know, yeah. He punches people in the stomach.
Tell
and
her I said hi.
every time, every time.
He's gonna get. I'll tell her I'll be home with milk later.
Yeah,
Yeah.
he's always got that milk.
Yeah.
He's a noble.
yeah. Always be milking.
Yeah,
Is
exactly.
the noble.
ABM.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so she is distraught, but then pretty quickly decides and is convinced to overthrow Peter and become the Empress, possibly by killing him, possibly not. In the real world, apparently, that is what happened. She overthrew him and did not kill him, just took power.
Oh, that's dope.
Yeah, it is.
Is this a drama? Comedy? A dramedy?
I'd say more, it's like a comma, right? It's more comedy than drama.
Okay.
Yeah. Like, we're talking like...
Sweet. Are you saying so you're saying that there's a dramedy, which is a mixture of drama and comedy, but comma is less...
You know what?
Drama?
I'd like to call it a comeda. I'm making this up now.
I know.
Yeah. So I think comeda is better.
Okay, comeda?
So, yeah, this is more of a comeda. Yeah.
Okay. I will yes and that.
Thank you.
But without the end. Go on.
Yes. So, it's a ton of fun. It's just these like court machinations, but also just like outrageous kind of humor as he, Peter does crazily outrageous things. Catherine doesn't as much. She's funny in other ways. And her like at one point she humiliates a noblewoman who is mean to her by suggesting this dress fabric and then inviting her into a tent that had the same fabric on the inside.
Oh.
And, that kind of thing.
Yeah.
And so there's like court machinations. That turns out not to have been a very smart move.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
That sounds interesting.
It's fun. It's interesting. And the fact that it's an occasionally true story means, like, in the show, Peter of the show is Peter the Great's son. And he feels very insecure about that. He loved his dad and he just doesn't live up to him,
Yeah.
In reality, it was his grandfather. Right. So they're like, whatever we want to do is what we're going to do.
Lying to me.
Yeah.
Okay. But they let me know ahead of time.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's on Hulu.
That's on Hulu.
You recommend it?
I recommend it.
Nice.
Yeah.
Let's see. Oh, Terry says, thanks, The Wire was killing me. Of course, he's referring to the HBO television show, The Wire.
Yeah.
Eddie Madison says, this past Sunday, I saw the Lion King musical. It was amazing.
That's fantastic.
I've never seen the Lion King musical, Brian.
I've never seen the stage production.
Right.
And it took me a long time to see the animated movie. But I have seen it.
Well, I'm glad to hear it was good.
Yeah, I've heard it's like phenomenal.
Like the sets and the costumes are all very...
That's what I hear about it
Very
mostly.
intricate and awesome.
Yeah,
that's what I've heard.
And I've seen pictures of them and they are cool. It's the highest grossing Broadway show of all time.
What?
But here's the thing. Just like with movies, highest grossing is a function of how much tickets are sold for in addition to amount of people, right? So indisputably, a lot of people have gone to see The Lion King.
Yeah.
But ticket prices are also more than they were 25 years ago.
Do they adjust for inflation when they talk about
Sometimes.
Lion King being the most high-selling, most grossing of
I
all
don't
time?
know about The Lion King. I know with movies they sometimes adjust for inflation, and Gone with the Wind is still the highest grossing.
No kidding.
I think so. Yeah.
Oh, holy cats.
And but sometimes they don't, and they
Okay.
just say, "Oh, this is the highest grossing
Yeah.
of all time."
Yeah.
You know, so they wink at you. Yeah.
Yeah. Do you want to do all of your what you've been up to? We have several
Sure.
of them because there's
not that many
of us.
people here today,
Yeah.
and
I'm gonna go next
Oh.
with one of the things I've been up to this week. I was gonna say it last week, but then Terry just like blooped into the show, and I was like, well, I guess I'll
did.
just stop talking.
Yeah.
In Pedagore is a film that came out in 2019.
Mhm.
I forget where I watched it. Maybe Shudder. Probably Shudder.
Okay.
Oh, if you guys like horror movies, and which not really you.
but if I did,
But if you did, you would go to Shudder,
Really?
which is a streaming service specifically for horror films, which I like quite a bit. It
Oh.
started off really small and kind of rinky-dink, but it was
Shudder.
the only place to go. Yes.
not your enjoyment of horror movies.
No. Well,
Okay.
yeah, that too.
Ah,
It's also
interesting.
grown.
Okay.
So yeah, it's a great streaming service where you can find movies that I've never heard of, like Impedagore from 2019, which is an Indonesian horror film directed by Joko Anwar, starring Tara Basra and Asmara Abigail. And this is a haunting tale. This is really good. It is a supernatural story about these two girls who sort of work. They start off working in a toll booth, like different toll booths, and they've got their cell phones open so that they're just talking to each other.
That's a good idea.
While they're working all night in these toll booths. And the one reports to the other one, oh, this guy's coming up. He's in a car. He's in a specific car. He always drives up around this time, and he just stares at me, and it's super creepy. And here he comes again. Meanwhile, her friend is just on the cell phone. And then this night, he happens to pull over. And she's like, he's stopping his car. Why is he stopping his car? He's getting out of his car. Oh, neat. He's got a machete. He's coming towards the booth. So he basically attacks her and gets taken down. Whew. Otherwise, we wouldn't have a movie.
I thought he was going to be the Impedagore.
No, I don't even know what an Impedagore is.
It's thing that stops something from eating?
Oh.
I don't know.
Oh, my. Oh, that might work.
Does that apply? Okay.
So basically, that's the cold open of the thing.
Okay.
Yeah, I guess spoilers, maybe. But basically, the gist of the film is they go back to her small Indonesian village, like tiny village, where she found out where her parents were from because she didn't really know them. She was adopted. And
Wait, did they live in the village, or she lives in the village?
she goes to visit the village with her best
gotcha.
friend.
I gotcha. Okay.
Because this guy who tried to kill her said, "You're from this village,
Oh.
and I'm trying to kill you so that it stops the curse,
The curse.
of what's happening in this village."
Okay.
And the thing that's happening in this village is horrifying.
Oh.
I've never heard a curse like this, and it is dreadful.
What's the curse?
I'm not gonna tell you.
I want to know what the curse is.
But suffice it to say, it is gnarly.
Oh.
So I highly recommend Impedagore if you're into nice, slow burn, creepy, supernatural films, and you don't mind all subtitles. Because I know there's some people out there like, I don't want to read a movie.
Yeah.
But man, it is really well done. Highly recommend Impedagore,
Nice.
which is streaming on Shudder, I imagine.
Excellent.
Yeah.
All right.
I want to tell you what the curse is. It's
I
so
want to know what the
gross.
curse is, and after the
But-
show, I intend to find out.
It's real good.
All right.
What else you been up to this week?
So I've been watching a show called Breaking Bad.
Heard of it?
Yeah. It was a television program from earlier in our timeline.
history?
Yeah.
Yep.
Yes.
Mhm.
And
But after or before The Great, Catherine the Great?
before the show The Great,
Uh-huh.
after Catherine the Great, the events that the show The Great are based on.
Okay.
Significantly after,
Okay.
depending on how you look at
And it's
significantly.
streaming on Netflix.
It is streaming on Netflix.
What made you watch it?
What?
What made you watch it?
Tamara was like, I
let's
want you
watch
to
this.
watch this. And I was like, I don't want to watch that. And so that went on for a few months.
Yeah, yeah.
And then I think we
You
struck
you barely ate, barely slept.
it.
It's just back
Yeah.
and forth.
There was that, she had strapped me to one of those Clockwork Orange things.
Oh yeah.
But the remote wouldn't work. So I avoided it that time, right? I was still strapped like that all night.
Yeah.
But so it wasn't a win for me, but
Yeah.
I didn't see it.
Yeah.
So I think then we were like, all right, but then you've got to watch the The Simpsons and Star Trek: The Next Generation or something. It was one of these tit for tat arrangements, right?
Yeah.
So we'll see if that happens. But so it's good. It's funny you asked when it was set because watching it now is a little bit like a time capsule.
Yeah.
Where people use landline phones and such, and flat screen TVs have just come out, and marijuana is illegal in New Mexico, which it is not now. And I looked that up. And,
okay.
Yeah.
It is recent enough that I forget that it is a period piece.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I wasn't
go,
expecting that when I watched it because it just was reflecting the times that it was made in.
Yeah.
And people still talk about it. And Better Call Saul is on, so I think it makes it feel more recent. So, yeah, the marijuana stuff I think was interesting.
Are we starting another live video at 8:15? I'm
No,
getting
I don't think we should.
notifications. Dylan.
So
Okay.
we'll take care of that. But anyway,
Yes.
the show is about a man, Walter White, who is a gifted chemist, but is a high school chemistry teacher for reasons as yet unrevealed. And I'm most of the way through season 2 at the moment. So some of those reasons.
So it's just about a chemist.
Yes. And it's like a stand and deliver type movie where he's really trying to motivate these kids that he has 1 or 2 interactions with. So anyway, he's a chemist and he discovers that he has cancer. And so he's going to make meth because of some interactions that he had that lead him to knowing that he could do this and do it very well and make a lot of money and save the money. Right. So I knew about that going into it. And I was like, oh, it sounds interesting. A guy pushed into doing this, right? Even though he wouldn't do it otherwise. He's got to do it to make the money to pay for his treatment. I got to tell you, I'm disappointed in Walter White. He's he's doesn't always make the best decisions.
No,
he
doesn't.
Or the kindest decisions, right? And the thing is, I'm like, oh, they invalidated the whole concept that he was pushed into it because he didn't have any other options partway through season 1 when he does have another option, right?
But by then,
I'm sure there's something you find out about why he didn't take that option up, right?
Okay.
But we may have already found it all out because there's just like his pride basically is why. And I'm like, oh, that's different than what I thought. He didn't have another choice.
Right.
And here are the people's lives that he has ruined because he didn't want to do that.
Yes.
And he does want to make more money than his treatment costs so that he can provide for his family if he should not be around anymore, but they don't really make a big point out of that as to why he's,
Which I actually respect that of the show because a lot of other shows would be like, this is the motivating factor and we will bend over backwards to make sure that this is still the motivating factor.
Right.
So yeah, the fact that they were just well, this is just the way we're starting off the show.
Right.
And we're going to advance our characters and develop them.
I'll tell you what, at watching it straight through also, because we're watching like multiple episodes a night and alternating between that and The Great. And the guy that plays Elliot in Breaking Bad, who you at this point have only seen like 1 or 2 times. He runs the very successful company, he and the woman that Walter White used to be with.
Right.
And,
yes.
Right. He is also in The Great.
Oh, neat.
And we are watching them at the same time.
That's
fun. Also in a show called Lodge 49. Excellent show. Highly recommend it.
Never heard of it.
I don't think it had a big following.
So are you enjoying Breaking Bad?
I'm enjoying
it.
I'm enjoying it. We're watching so many in a row that I find sometimes I'm like, all right, we're the parts that don't have to do with the story, like, oh, now we're talking to Marie. I'm like, all right, let's keep it moving, But I realize that that's a function of me watching like 5 episodes in a row.
Yeah.
So that's fine. And I think they pretty clearly, like, at least at this point, it seems he is doing this because he likes it.
Yeah.
Like they've gotten to that point already. We've just recently been introduced to Saul Goodman, whom
Do you know I didn't get that? I did not get that his name, Saul Goodman.
Saul Goodman.
Saul Goodman.
No, I didn't get that either. And I was like, oh, that would be a cool, years ago. I was like, that would be a cool idea for a name, right? And they're like, oh, yeah, that's been done.
That's happened. Yeah.
We just met Giancarlo Esposito's character this episode.
Good.
And so Tamara was like, she saw it about a long time ago. And she's like, oh, do you think the person that they're meeting, because he doesn't reveal himself, you think the person that they're meeting is one of the guys in that fast food restaurant, or like, who was it? Because he was somebody, but who was it? And I was like, oh, it was that dude.
Oh, yeah.
He's the famous one in this scene.
Yeah,
like,
yeah,
he's
yeah.
the only one that it could be. I know he's in this show.
Yeah.
Nobody else is well known.
Mhm.
It's that guy.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. But he's always great, so I expect that he's a very small role so far, but I expect he's good. Kristen Ritter is in it, which I did not know.
Oh, that's right. I forgot she was
and
in
I'm
that.
guessing she doesn't make it too far, but I already kind of wondered that.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a shame.
So I was on TikTok or something recently, and I had seen one of those "Did you know" videos where they were talking about Mike Ehrmantraut's character, who is my absolute favorite character on both of the shows, Better Call Saul and Breaking Bad. That he wasn't even in the show. The only reason he was there is because Saul Goodman was supposed to do a delivery scene, and for some reason, I think maybe the
Bob Odenkirk.
Bob Odenkirk wasn't available or something. So they're like, oh well, I guess we'll just make this guy. And they just created one of my all-time favorite characers in television.
It's awesome when stuff like that
Yeah,
happens.
I love little stories like
Restriction breeds creativity in many
Absolutely.
ways, you know? Another anecdote that I recently learned is that Jesse Pinkman
Yes.
and Hank, the brother-in-law, were going to die in season 1.
What?
Yes. Which, I mean, Hank's a jackass, obviously, but he's also got some good qualities.
Yeah,
And-
you'll grow to like him as the show goes.
I don't dislike him now, but I don't like his rougher edges.
Yeah.
I do really like the parallels between what drugs are legal and what are not, and he's there bottling beer in his garage, which, as Walter White brings up, would have been illegal earlier.
Yep.
It's extremely interesting. Apparently, alcohol is a class 4 narcotic. I just saw in a Robin Williams routine.
Did not know that.
No, me either. Nor do I know what it means. But
Yeah.
but I like that, and especially with the real world changes, is another interesting parallel is their use of weed, right? Which is legal in Santa Fe now.
Yeah.
And they have people acting, some of whom are acting like it's the worst thing in the world, right? Because there has been a massive change in the perception in media and I think some parts of culture about
for
that.
sure.
And so just watching that change, where it's like, oh, this was one of the illegal drugs in this show about a very illegal drug, and now it's not in New Mexico. So it's interesting. Anyway, so they were both going to die, Jesse and Hank.
Yeah.
And I don't know what happened with Hank. They just decided not to, but the writer's strike of that time gave them a pause. So we were watching it, and season 1 ends on what doesn't seem like much of a season-ending episode, and it's because their production was stopped by the writer's strike. And I don't know what event they were going to have, if it happened and he just lived, or if it just didn't happen, but they were going to kill him off and decided, no, he's great, we should keep him, and I'm glad they did.
Yeah. One of my all-time favorite versions of that story is Buffy the Vampire Slayer. Spike was only supposed to be in it for like an episode or two, and everyone loved him so much, and there was such a big response that he made it not only through all of
To
Buffy,
another show.
but onto a whole nother show.
Yeah.
And apparently Joss Whedon hated that.
Really?
He told a story. James Marsters, the guy who played Spike, told a story about how Joss Whedon like threw him up against a wall and was like threatening him, and he's just like, "So kill me, man! Like it's not my fault. I didn't do anything.
I'm likable.
Yeah, it's not my fault. People dig me. So yeah, I love that story.
See, I thought you were going to say Urkel.
What?
From
He
Family
was supposed to be killed off?
Well, yes. But his charisma was so powerful that they just couldn't shoot that scene.
Bullets bounced off of him.
Yeah, but I mean, they weren't real bullets, but yes. No, because he was only supposed to be in, like 1 or 2 episodes.
No kidding.
Oh, yeah.
And he's like all I remember about that show.
Yeah, he
Did I do that?
He did often.
He did often do that.
He was.
He was the one doing the thing.
He usually was the one that had done it, and he was. Yeah, apparently the Reginald Val Johnson and the woman who played Harriet were like kind of upset about it because it was supposed to be the show about them and their family, and then Urkel became the star and eventually had Urkelos, the cereal. I'm sure you remember.
I do remember Urkelos.
Yeah.
He's the Poochie.
Yes, except people loved him.
Yeah.
So it's the difference there. But I was going to say one of my favorite examples from the writer's strike of, I guess, 87 or 9 or whatever, Star Trek, The Next Generation, the Borg, who,
Yeah.
even if you don't know Star Trek, you
I know
might
the
have heard
Borg.
about them, right?
Yeah.
These cybernetic beings that are like,
They live in a cube.
yes, and they're like a singular consciousness,
Yeah.
right? They're drones.
I hear
And
that
they-
something is feudal. I don't know.
Resistance.
Ah, right.
Yeah, it's not though. Actually,
It's not feudal?
They say that it is,
Ah,
but
That's what they want you to think.
they would prefer it if
Yeah,
you
yeah.
did, and then nothing. They would just
Like, fuck you.
just
Yeah.
do whatever they want.
All right. I guess he's fine.
They would assimilate you,
Yeah.
right? And that's their whole deal. And then you become a Borg.
Mhm.
They were going to be like an insectoid species. So
Oh.
the hive mind thing was there, but the possibility of being assimilated
Yeah.
and being cybernetic in the early days of personal computers and all
Yeah, yeah.
that would not have been part of it.
Ah.
And I think that that was a way better idea.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
That's neat.
Yeah.
Interesting. Breaking Bad,
What else have you been up to
Pedagore.
this week? Huh.
The Great. I'll tell you what.
What is it?
Every year, not every year,
Hmm.
but often enough, I will revisit the Scream franchise in the September-October region of the year.
And what anniversary are you up to?
More than Dylan is.
More than
More than 30
30?
episodes.
You've seen more than you've seen Scream more than 30 times?
Oh, probably.
Really?
I will just put it on in the background. Does that count?
No.
Oh.
I'm talking
I've
about the
only seen
once
it
a year
once.
times.
Oh, I don't know. 10.
Okay.
10 times.
Okay. And I will also now count the background times.
Okay, great.
All right.
47.
Cool.
So like I'll either put on Halloween, depending
Mhm.
on my feelings that year, or Scream.
Okay.
This is a Scream year. I just
You don't have time for
love. 1996. This movie came out from Miramax Pictures, directed by Wes Craven, horror master Wes Craven, and it was written by Kevin Williamson, and it created a cultural phenomenon that lasted well over a decade, where every other horror movie that came out was trying to be Scream or referencing Scream, or just it changed the landscape of horror films in the 90s into the aughts. And it is one of those movies that I feel really still holds up to this day. So I was watching it. I had to do 102 shirts last night. After my family went to bed, I had to stay up and print shirts.
Sounds
I was
like
like,
a children's book.
I'm just gonna 100. Yeah.
I had to do 102 shirts last night.
I just watched it on my iPad with my headphones in, and
Okay.
God, I love that movie. Have you ever seen it?
No.
Go to hell. Dylan, have you
Seems
seen
severe.
Scream?
Yes, of course. I've
What-
seen Scream.
What do you think of Scream?
I love Scream.
Do you love Scream?
That's one of my favorite Matthew Lillard performances.
That's a very
What's your second
small-
favorite? Hackers.
Scooby-Doo?
Scooby-Doo.
Scooby. Oh, I've never seen the Scoobies.
Are you serious?
I'm serious.
I think you would like him.
Oh, yeah?
Genuinely, I think you would really like him.
I've
I like
heard he's
Linda-
the picture of Shaggy, like Christopher Reeve is Superman.
Yeah,
this guy
I hear,
is Shaggy.
and the
Yes.
voice is good.
That's what I heard.
It's
Yeah.
all very on the nose. It's
Yeah.
perfectly cast. It's
The
check it out.
Zoinks.
Exactly.
I liked him in SLC Punk. I also liked him in
Hackers.
Hackers.
Yeah, he did.
Oh,
he did
man.
look. He had that. He did.
That dumb hairstyle.
That is a very of its time. The
Very.
look. In
That one
his-
does not hold up as well as Scream.
No. But no, people like that's like the Hackers aesthetic is like a Tumblr post kind
Yeah,
of
yeah.
thing, you know? Yeah.
Great soundtrack.
Yeah. Very
But yeah.
true.
So you like Scream? Have you
I like
seen
Scream.
all of the Screams? There's 5 of them so far.
No,
You fell off
I may have
the Scream
seen
wagon.
2, maybe 3. I don't know.
Oh, okay.
I've definitely seen 2. I don't remember it all that well, but
Oh.
I've seen the first one maybe like 2 or 3 times. Maybe.
I can
maybe
pretty
all-
much quote the first one.
Go ahead.
It's a Scream. It's a Scream, baby.
Oh, nice.
I did it.
Ah, that's a great line.
I'll be right back.
Uh-huh. I was actually looking for you to quote it in order,
In
but
order,
if
I
you just
see.
want to say, actually, here we go. Say all the words that are in
one
In
Scream.
the script,
That
In
one part the
alphabetical
character
order.
goes, ah.
Yeah.
that one time where she screamed.
Did they say the word Scream?
Scream.
Yeah, exactly.
Do you know who else is in that movie that you may not suspect?
Hmm.
Though you should suspect, because everyone's a suspect. It's another
Oh.
quote. The Fonz. Arthur Fonzarelli.
Henry Winkler?
Henry Winkler.
And he
and
screams?
They made him. Oh, he screams. Actually,
Oh.
he does. Oh, he has a good death.
Does he?
Spoiler alert.
Thanks a lot, JD.
They
I
made.
was going to watch it.
They made Henry Winkler be uncredited because they didn't want to
Oh,
take
yeah, yeah.
away from the kids of the movie.
Mhm.
And I was like, in '96, would the name Henry Winkler really have detracted from
Probably not.
Nev Campbell and Rose McGowan
I don't think either of those were well known yet, were they?
Oh, I think they were well known to me.
Rose McGowan?
Oh yeah,
Before
man.
Scream?
Oh yeah.
Oh, really?
What was she in? Jawbreaker.
Yeah.
Doom Generation.
never
She was
heard
one of those people
either
I
of
was
those
watching
movies.
before she got big.
Well, you're ultra cool, JD.
That's
the thing.
Yeah, for sure.
And those, having seen those two movies is why. Just don't get it wrong. That's the only
everything
reason.
else about me is the lamest. But because I saw those 2 films starring Rose McGowan,
It's on a scale.
she also brought down. She started the chain, which brought down Henry Weinstein,
Is that
which
right?
is pretty fucking awesome.
Oh, I did not know that.
Yeah, she was the one who was like speaking out against him.
Is that right?
Forever.
Oh, right. Wow.
And then before the whole Me Too thing, I think other people started joining in, and that's how the Me Too
Oh, wow.
movement started. Was basically because of her.
That's admirable.
Yeah, Rose McGowan.
Yeah. But I did not know. I don't know that either of those movies were particularly well known in the
No,
mainstream.
of course not. No, those were definitely indie films.
And Nev Campbell was already on
Party of Five.
Party of Five.
Yeah.
Right.
Which I had never seen.
I never saw it either.
Yeah.
But yeah, you make a good point. Like Henry Winkler, the audience that's going to see Scream
Right.
is probably not
Like
like
the Arthur
the movie with
Fonzarelli?
the Fonz.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, who the fuck's that old guy?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Because I don't even know if he really looked the same at that time.
No.
Right.
No. He played the principal.
The principal of the school?
Mhm.
Cool.
Yeah, it was cool. Your relationship with the word cool is neat. What have you been up to this week?
Neat. What else have I been up to this week?
Yeah, there's got one more thing.
What is it?
I'll tell you, My Adventures with Superman, streaming now on Max, the one to watch. You watched the whole season.
I watched the whole season.
I did the same.
The whole season?
Whole season.
You didn't miss a minute?
I might have missed a minute. What did you think?
I loved it.
Yeah, you did. Because you know
great.
why? It was great.
It's great.
Yeah.
You know what I noticed that I didn't notice when we were talking about it last time? Superman's costume has 2 shades
of blue.
Right?
Yeah, man.
And I was like, what's that about?
Love that
What's
crap.
going on there? And is that real in their world, or is that like the way that they're
That
showing?
is that's the design
what
of
I'm
his
saying?
costume.
No. But I mean, like, if we saw it off of him in a bright light, would it still be 2 shades of blue?
Yes.
In their world?
I believe so. Because
Okay.
it never changes.
That's a good point.
Yeah.
That's a good point. Earlier, you and I had discussed that time we thought was erroneous possibility that they were doing the Electric Superman already.
Oh,
right?
yeah. We were
Because
wrong.
here's the thing, though. You want to hear what the thing
I
is?
want to hear at least one thing. Go.
This is the thing.
Okay.
When he was beating the parasite in a couple episodes back,
Mhm.
8 or 7, he beats him with a blast of blue energy. He just blasts it out from himself.
Does he?
He just blasts it out.
Oh, he blasts it right out.
Yeah.
I don't remember that. That's cool.
It happened.
So maybe it is blue energy.
I don't know.
Electric blue.
Because there was no other power that seemed to come about at that
Yeah.
time. It was just a blast of blue energy.
You know what else I noticed? Speaking of
What
that
is it?
blue energy, it
Yeah.
always seemed to erupt when he was about to present a new ability.
Yeah.
A new power.
Mhm.
But I don't think he did it when he woke up and had super hearing. I
No,
love
I don't
that
think he did.
scene. The
That's
fact
cool.
that Cal wakes up because someone is screaming for help, and he like whoop,
Yeah.
he gets out of bed,
Yeah.
and he looks around. He's looking around the bedroom like, and he actually says, "Hello," because he thinks someone's in the room with him.
Yeah.
That's how close the super hearing is from
Yeah.
someone yelling for help a block away. And I was like, that was a really cute little.
And we
moment.
don't realize that he didn't have super hearing.
Right. Yeah, I thought he always had super.
Because you
hearing,
just,
but
he's Superman. He's got super hearing. Here's the thing. Maybe he was sleeping. He had his eyes closed when the blue energy flashed.
Oh, that.
Well, we didn't see it because he closed his eyes.
Good job.
Thank you.
But yeah, man, this show, I think this is some of my favorite Supermaning that I've
That's
seen in
cool.
a very long time.
Yeah.
It is modern, it's entertaining, it's energetic. The animation style is very anime referential, and I think to its benefit.
Yeah, which I'm not like, that would not be something that I'm like, oh, cool, on its own merits, it's anime style. But I think it looks really good.
Yeah, we're going to be talking
yeah.
about another animated series in just a couple minutes, or another animation project.
Yes.
It's the name of the show. But this is better than that, I think.
I agree.
Yeah, it's got more.
Um,
Zhuzh.
It does have more zhuzh.
It's got a skosh more zhuzh.
Yeah. I like what they've done with the canon that recurs. Superman and Lois and Superman and Jimmy and all that stuff. So Lois and Jimmy already know that he's Superman, which is great.
It is that it's going at a clip, man. Yeah, all these things that a lot of other projects would be like really stretching out and writing for the trade, as it were. They're just like, oh no, she knows. Oh, he knows. Okay, cool. Oh, also you come from Krypton. Oh, this is the thing about Krypton you should know. But still leaving some mysteries that I think are pretty cool.
I wonder if Earth One, the hardcover animated
Of
thing
Superman.
of Superman.
Of
Superman
animated Earth One?
hardcover.
The book.
Yeah,
The 3-issue Michael Straczynski.
exactly.
Yes, Shane Davis.
Wherein
Yes.
they do a little bit of a different thing with Superman's origin, right? And so there were 2 planets
Yes.
in the Rao system,
Yeah.
where Krypton is from, and they were at odds, right? At war, even. And Krypton was destroyed.
Yeah.
And eventually, I think it's in the first trade.
It's the reveal of the first story, yeah.
There's these other aliens from the same star system that also have powers. And towards the end of my adventures with Superman, we get a hint, more than a hint, that there is some other aliens out there. And I kind of wonder if it's drawing from that.
Oh, see, I didn't realize there were supposed to be other aliens. I thought there were Kryptonians.
Oh, no, they could be. I mean, other
And
other
maybe,
than Superman.
maybe Zod leading the military faction of the Kryptonians.
Could be that, too.
Yeah.
They certainly want you to think it's Zod.
Yeah.
Because they use the word kneel. And that's
Oh, do
one
they?
of Zod's favorite words.
Oh,
Yeah,
he
yeah,
loves it when people
yeah.
kneel.
Say Neil.
It's his whole thing.
He named his kid Neil.
Nice.
Thanks.
Neil deGrasse Tyson, strangely enough.
Yeah, it's really
what a coincidence.
strange coincidence.
But yeah, I love My Adventures with Superman. Is this series over, or are we just caught up in episodes?
This series in the British sense is over. Like
The first
season
season.
1 is done.
Dang
But it has been renewed for 2 and maybe 3.
Wonderful.
Yeah.
Wonderful.
Yeah, I really like it. The
Yes.
multiverse stuff that's happening where they blipped through the other Superman when Mxyzptlk came around.
Oh, I love that.
That was cool.
I'm such a sucker for that.
I love
dumb
that kind of
shit.
thing. I love it.
I love that. Yeah.
Especially when it works in the reality of the show.
Yeah.
It's,
seeing the
Mxyzptlk
different
can do this.
the different multiversal versions of a character
Yeah.
pulled from comic book history
Mhm.
or animation
Animation
Very
history.
cool.
Right.
Yeah. Kevin says Big Blue energy.
Correct.
So, is he saying he's got Big Blue energy? Because sometimes they still call Superman Big Blue, right?
Sometimes.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think he was talking about the electric blue Superman stuff.
Gotcha.
I think.
I got one last thing.
What is it?
It's a film called Some Like It Hot. It's from 1959. It's written and directed by Billy Wilder.
Is that right?
Yeah, who listen, y'all know me. I'm dumb as rocks. I was like, who's the Billy Wilder? That sounds so familiar.
You thinking of Gene Wilder?
I was
Are they
thinking
related?
of Gene Wilder. So I Googled Billy Wilder
Mhm.
just to see a picture of him because I was thinking Young Frankenstein. And I'm like,
No.
that does not seem like the right guy.
It's not
So yeah,
right.
Billy Wilder,
Yeah.
completely different guy. Starring Jack Lemmon and Tony Curtis. It's streaming on Max, the one to watch. And I had never seen Some Like It Hot, but because we were doing it for Movie Club,
Mhm.
for my shop. By the way, if you're interested in Movie Club, you can hang out with us on Zoom every other Tuesday night at 8 o'clock, wherein we talk about a movie that we watched that week. This one was
The
Some
same
Like It
movie.
Hot.
It's always the same movie.
We don't all
Okay.
watch different movies and then
Okay.
talk about them. Kind of like we do here.
We do that.
Marilyn Monroe.
Mhm.
That's the name I didn't say.
Oh.
I did not care for this
That wasn't
movie.
even her real name.
Oh, Norma Jean.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know a lot about Marilyn Monroe.
Okay.
I've never been interested in her as a personality. I've never
Seemed
sort
nice.
of paid much attention to her acting or her singing, I guess.
When she sang Happy Birthday to
Yeah.
JFK.
Well, she does a lot of singing in Some Like
Oh,
It
is that
Hot.
right?
Yeah, she's got
Oh,
some
I-
musical
I
numbers
did
in
not
this.
know that.
So basically, the main joke of this movie, it was listed as one of the number one funniest movies of all time.
The number one.
Number one.
It's just not. You shouldn't even make lists like that,
Ugh.
right? Like it's not. There is no number one funniest movie of all time,
Well,
and it
according to
certainly
this
isn't
list.
going to last. Right?
So this was not for me. I didn't think it
Uh-huh.
was particularly funny. The one joke that it seems to go on is like the two main characters played by Jack Lemmon and Tony Curtis are musicians. They wind up witnessing a mob murder.
Uh-oh.
And so their only recourse is to join this traveling band of female musicians
Sure.
dressed up as women.
Oh, that happened
So
to me once.
They dress up as women and they have to go on tour. They go
Mhm.
down to Florida. And of course, they fall in love with different people and blah, blah, blah. But like the main joke is like, he's a man, but he's wearing a dress. Nyuk, nyuk, nyuk.
Yeah.
So there's some good dialogue in there. I think Billy
Mhm.
Wilder writes some snappy dialogue in this
Mhm.
movie, but it just wasn't for me.
All right.
Has anyone else seen this movie? Am I the only one?
I think a lot of people have. It's
Mother-
the number one movie
All
of
right.
all time.
No, funniest.
The funniest movie.
Movie of all
This is funnier than Young Frankenstein.
Impossible.
Not even close.
Yeah.
Would be my guess.
So I do not recommend Some Like
Okay.
It Hot.
Okay.
Um,
I mean, comedy just is
So
so
subjective.
rooted in,
Yeah.
and in comedy is all about subverting expectation,
Mm-hmm.
right? And just like the expectations of that time are not the same as today,
Yeah.
right? It's I saw a list about was 5 comedies that stood the test of time and
yeah?
5 that didn't hold up, right?
Yeah.
And I'm reading this list and I'm like, okay, other than I Love Lucy, all the ones that stood the test of time are from at least 10 years later
Oh.
than the other. You
Yeah.
know, like
Yeah.
they haven't stood the test. Like Schitt's Creek was on it. An
Oh, come
amazing
on.
show. I love that show. It has not been around long enough
Yeah.
to stand the test of time, which I think it probably will.
Mhm.
But it just not yet.
Yeah.
You know.
It has not been tested.
No.
So
What's happening?
yeah. I guess we should talk about the film we're here to talk
Justice
about.
League Warworld.
That's the one.
Excellent.
2023, directed by Jeff Wamister, who also directed Justice League
Huh?
Warworld 2.
What?
World War 2. I wrote it backwards. World War 2.
Oh, okay.
Remember Justice League World War 2? From like 2 years ago?
Ooh, yeah, I forgot it was called that, but the one where the Barry Allen goes to what seems like back in time,
Yeah.
but is actually a parallel reality.
Was it?
It turns out to be.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, he's like,
Spoiler
oh,
alert.
because so Clark Kent shows up,
Yeah.
and he's like,
Oh,
wait
I
a
see.
second,
Hold the phone.
yeah,
And Green Lantern, Beware My Power. So
Oh,
he
okay.
directed those as well.
interesting.
This was written by Jeremy Adams and Josie Campbell, who are also comic book writers. Jeremy Adams was writing The Flash.
Is
This
that right?
this whole run of The Flash that just ended.
Oh.
That's that guy,
Indeed,
which you're enjoying, right?
I'm not caught up.
Oh, you mother. It's starring Jensen Ackles, Ike Amato,
Mm-hmm.
Troy Baker, and Frank Grillo. I was surprised to see. Do you know who Frank Grillo is?
Yeah, the name sounds familiar.
He played Crossbones in the Marvel
Yes.
Universe films.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
IMDb describes it thusly: Warworld, a place of unending, brutal gladiatorial combat. Batman, Superman, Wonder Woman, and others must unite to form an unbeatable resistance to lead the entire planet to freedom.
Mhm.
I did not read that
That's not really what happened.
before the movie.
Okay.
I just turned it on because we decided 2 hours before we went live.
yes.
to watch this
we would
movie.
watch this.
So I turned it on and I was like, oh, Wonder Woman.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, the Wild West.
Yeah.
Oh, it's the Wild West movie. I wonder why it's called Warworld. That's
Mm,
weird.
Yeah.
Um,
Oh, you knew nothing of this movie.
nothing. No, all I
Okay.
knew was the title,
That was it.
Warworld.
Okay.
And so I was surprised to see a Wild West,
Like the Justice Riders.
which I've never read. The Justice Riders. There was an Elseworlds.
from years ago.
Yeah, never read it. And I kept waiting for. I was like, is any of the other Marvel, is DC heroes going to show up?
Mhm.
Oh, here's Jonah Hex, one of the DC heroes.
Not so much.
Not so much.
No.
And then we get a couple other segments, and then it all folds in together.
Mhm.
I'm without spoiling it, I'm going to say I fell asleep during this movie.
Okay. That's really not a spoiler for the movie.
Right.
Yeah.
That's why I said
Your
without
experience
spoiling
with
it.
well, it's not that you were wrong. Seems like a necessary addition. Like the fact that you fell asleep is something that they can know going into this movie.
I said I'm not going to.
It's not going to ruin. Well, I appreciate you.
What's happening? So I fell asleep. I tried, and I could feel myself getting less and less interested as the film went on.
Yeah.
Until eventually, I was so uninterested
Yeah.
that I just was like, "Never mind, I'm good. I'm gonna sleep."
Is that why we fall asleep? There's
Yeah,
zero
yeah.
levels of
Yeah,
interest.
it's like,
Sleep.
So my energy bar was just bum, 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 bum.
Sure.
So I would not recommend this movie. I think that it was
Okay.
kind of boring. I respect that they were trying to do different stories and introduce different characters into the animated presentation that we don't usually get. Like,
yeah.
What's his name? War something stuff?
Warlord.
Warlord. Like I have
From-
no experience with Warlord, the
Yeah.
comic book.
I know Len really likes Warlord.
Yeah.
And I always thought Warlord looked cool,
Mhm.
but never really had any comics with Warlord.
Travis Morgan,
Travis
aka
Morgan.
Warlord,
He's from our world, but he winds up
on Shambhala.
in the center of the earth, I believe.
Oh, is that really?
I think that's the deal.
Oh, I did not know that.
And that's why it never gets dark there, because the sun is
Oh.
just this point inside of it.
Oh,
I
neat.
think it's
Um,
heavily influenced by Edgar Rice Burroughs story where something like that happens.
Oh, okay.
I think.
And I will also say that this is not for kids.
No.
There's some kind of there's gore.
There is gore.
Yeah,
That's true.
It's pretty bloody at
It
times.
depends on the kids.
There's a sequence where like a man walks into a
Bar.
an Indiana Jones booby trap, and then just becomes a skeleton.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
that guy. I would
It's
say
a very
that's
cool
even
scene.
kind of.
That was very cool.
That's like some of the least gory, right? Because
Right,
it just
yeah.
happens.
Yeah, yeah.
The other guys are getting
A lot of
gored up, right?
Gored
There's
up.
no impedagore in this thing.
So what did you think of Justice League Warworld?
It was kind of a mess. It I think the end of it would have been a cool movie if they just did that. We didn't need the 3 alternate reality things to lead into that, which could have been cool on their own if the follow-up to that was different.
You know,
right?
it felt like those little. Remember when DC several years ago was putting out animated shorts?
Yes.
It was like, we've got these 3 animated shorts. They're not very long.
Right.
They're shorts.
They're shorts.
What do we do with them? Oh, what if we just tie them together into one story?
It did feel like that. And like I said to you earlier, like I'd watch a Justice Riders movie, right? Because it wouldn't just be that. You'd
That's
see
the Wild
other
West one.
That's the Wild West
So,
one.
okay, so there's the Wild West one.
Right.
There is a Sword and Sorcery one,
Right.
which is the one with, what's his nuts?
Batman
But
and Warlord. Yeah.
And then the third one is a,
Yeah.
is...
Are you from Inglourious Bastards?
Oh my God, I always think of that.
Yeah.
Yeah. Thrice glasses or thrice...
Yeah, something.
Glasses? Anyway.
All right.
And then the third one is a black and white 1950 sci-fi story.
Yeah, like a
Yeah.
Roswell type deal. And I'd watch an Old West Justice League
Yeah.
Elseworlds, right?
Yeah,
that would
for
be
sure.
cool.
Yep.
I'd watch a Sword and Sorcery.
Not that one.
Well,
This one was so boring.
I liked that one.
Yeah.
I thought that one was the strongest of the 3, actually. But it still was a mix of like Travis Morgan's Warlord and Batman is there, but he also doesn't act like Batman for whatever reason.
No,
that
he doesn't.
a lot of times when a well-known character loses their memory in a situation, they still kind of act the way that they act. Which is not something that I think you shouldn't do. They just really didn't do much with it. I like the idea in that what seemed like magic was at least somewhat tech from our world. So that was kind of cool. And then there was the Clark Kent Roswell one or sci-fi 50s one, which
I like that one. I thought that was
I liked it too. I think I would also watch a full movie about that, the Justice League Noir or whatever.
Yeah.
Would be
cool.
actually would be very cool. I think one of the reasons that one was as cool as it was is because you finally had the 3 of them united through uncertain means. Like they don't talk about how that happens. That they're jumping from one to the other story. And you figure out what's going on.
They do tell us eventually.
Well, did they? All right, let's get into the spoilers.
Hey, spoiler alert. We're going to spoil this movie.
It's fine.
I guess. I don't think any of you are going to care.
Don't worry about it. I mean, you should check it out when it's free.
Yeah.
And if you want to just
and if you have nothing else to watch.
Yeah, if you want to just keep up with all the DC animated stuff.
I'm going to give it 2 kryptonites out of 5.
I think there are 5 colors of kryptonite, right?
Yeah.
Traditionally?
Sure.
You don't know.
I have no idea.
You don't.
I'm agreeing with
know.
you because
You should.
I'm yes-anding you, but without the and.
And regarding actual fact.
Yeah.
Okay. Unwise. So, yeah.
How many kryptonites?
I don't know. 3, I guess. 2 in it.
Begrudgingly 3.
I don't want to give it 2 because the end part was all right, and I wouldn't give it if it was 6.
2.5. You could do 2.5.
Then why don't we just go out of 10?
Jesus Christ, Brian.
All right, 2.5.
Thank
fine.
you. All right. Now continue. Spoilers.
Here we go.
Spoil it up.
Can you read again for me the last sentence of what IMDb says?
Batman, Superman, Wonder Woman, and others must unite to form an unbeatable resistance to lead the entire planet to freedom.
If by freedom they mean death, then that is what happens.
Sweet release.
Right.
Yeah.
Because
of the shackles of the living world.
Free of it all.
Yeah.
So they are, by the end of this film, free of it all, right?
Yeah.
Because the 3 of them are the only survivors of this planet, right?
Oh, shit.
Yeah.
That's a short.
So I feel like this movie, the first 3 parts could have been cool. you could have done a whole movie just about Warworld and it would have been fine, right?
Yeah.
Like, it's kind of an interesting twist that it's John Johns, who was we already introduced to in the first movie in this continuity in the Superman movie, Man of Tomorrow.
Oh, yeah.
So I think this is a different John Johns. They have a multiversal component.
Yes.
Which is very strange in a movie that in the first half had 3 things that could have been alternate worlds, but were not alternate worlds.
Right.
To also introduce the concept of alternate worlds, right? So you've got Mongol and Lobo is there, who I think we've already met before as well. And
let me stop you there.
Yeah.
I fell asleep, if you recall.
I do recall.
So was it explained to us, like, are those definitely our Batman,
see, the movie was
Superman?
spoiled for me, so I knew that you had already fallen asleep.
Do you know?
Yeah.
Do we know that that's the Batman, Superman, and Wonder Woman of that particular world, and they are not the multiversal versions?
We know that it is not the Wonder Woman of that world.
Oh, okay.
Because she sees Clark and she's like, oh, you're Superman. And now that I see you in costume out of the noir world, whatever, you're obviously Superman, but you're a baby. You're so much younger than the Clark that I know.
I see.
So I think that's the Superman and Batman who were zapped by a Zeta beam at the end of the previous movie.
Which one was that?
Supergirl and the Legion of Superheroes one.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah.
Oh, right.
Yeah. So this is where they were.
There it is.
Yeah.
Okay.
So they're there, and also I like Jensen Ackles a lot as Batman.
Oh, you like that?
I think
Batman?
he's really good. Yeah.
I liked her as Wonder Woman.
Yeah, she was good too. She had a slight kind of Greek accent, which was, I thought, very well done.
I think, I like that.
Yeah.
A little touch.
And so she's a different Wonder Woman, but they I think are from the same universe, from the one that we've been following with this continuity. But I think it's a different Jean because he doesn't recognize Clark, and he's not a hero at all.
Right.
And so then they get into a big battle. Jean merges with a white Martian because that was the key to Warworld, right?
Oh.
So Mongol's been jumping around trying to find the key to Warworld because without the key, it's just a world that hops through the multiverse and enslaves billions of people.
Yeah.
That's it.
Yeah.
So, right?
What a loser world.
Yeah. They should have called it Loser World. And he was like, I will not rule a world called Loser World.
Yeah.
And so they've been hopping around looking for this key. And they found it. It's for whatever reason, unexplained at this point by the end of the movie. It is the melding of a green and white Martian.
Sure it
is. They hid, whoever made the world hid the key in the Martians.
You bet.
In every universe, I guess, and it's always the same, and any universe's green Martian would work.
Mm-hmm.
This is how it is.
Yeah.
So
I'm not questioning it.
I can see very much so that you're not. And it turns out Lobo's been up to some no good too.
That was a surprise.
Me too.
Yeah, someone was banging down the door.
Yeah.
Woo, boy, it's Lobo. I did not see him coming.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, but also he betrayed Mongol. He was the one that freed Superman, Batman, and Wonder Woman. And he was like,
I missed that part.
Yeah, I thought you might have. And he's like, oh, I freed them so that they would beat you. And then I would take the key and I would rule Warworld, right?
I see,
Yeah.
Very
so
Lobo.
It's a very Lobo thing to do. And that's what he does all the time.
Yeah.
The Lobo stuff.
Can't stop him.
He cannot be stopped. So, so then the Warworld blows up. Everyone dies. And then Harbinger, I assume.
Sure. Lady with the fire hair.
So the lady with the fire hair.
Yeah.
And she comes and gets them. And she's like, hey, hang on a second.
Yeah.
You think this was a big deal?
Wait till I say the word crisis.
Yes.
And then she does. She says the word
crisis.
She
said the word
crisis.
crisis.
That's the end of the show.
And she said something about the multiverse.
Yeah.
And then I was like, oh, actually, this isn't the first multiverse thing that we've seen because the World War II one turned out to be on a different Earth.
Right, that's true.
So they've been seeding this a little bit longer than it seemed like. Yeah. I think that this was not a great way to introduce. There was like no multiverse stuff. And then right at the end, it's like, oh, there's some multiverse going on.
Well, I think the 3 different versions, John Johns is talking about how he's been looking and it has taken him lifetimes to find them.
Yeah.
And I think what he's saying is he's searching the multiverse for those
Oh.
living those lifetimes
Hmm.
with those different characters in order to get the correct ones
That's
that'll break
interesting.
out.
That's interesting.
So that, I think my interpretation of that movie, having slept through some of it,
Mhm.
was that the beginning bits were all multiversal aspects.
Oh, that they were other
Yes.
Bruce Waynes or whatever that he
Yes.
put. Oh, that's an interesting
Mhm.
take. Unspelled out by the movie.
Yeah.
But yeah.
And also, I was tired watching it.
Hmm.
I'm tired talking about it.
Yeah, me too.
I'm already
kinda, yeah.
bored just talking about this movie.
That being said, I'm interested in the next one.
Well, I mean,
right.
they said the word crisis.
They did.
What more do you need?
And we know it's going to be Crisis on Infinite Earth. Like
Yeah.
that was already announced.
Yeah.
We were wondering, I think privately to ourselves in the chat,
Mhm.
is it going to be like the multiverse?
Like nobody typed it out. We were just sitting, all of us in the chat,
Exactly.
sitting quietly, not typing.
Yeah, but I had the window
But
open.
we had the suspect. Yeah,
and I knew
suspicions.
what you were thinking.
Yeah.
Yeah, and now it's confirmed
Mhm.
here very publicly.
Yeah. Damn it.
So I wanted it to be seen. So
Filthy bitch.
yeah. So we were like, is this gonna be a multiversal thing, or is it just gonna be called Crisis or whatever? And
Are you excited?
I'm excited for the Crisis one, not because
Why?
of this movie, because it's called Crisis on Infinite
That's it.
Earths.
Okay, so exactly
Yeah,
the
yeah,
joke
yeah.
I made is the
Is
truth.
the reality
Yes,
of
they said the word crisis, and you're like, I'm in.
Yeah.
Daddy wants it.
Well, I was in before I saw this movie
Yeah.
because I knew of its existence, and
But
I was
this movie
like,
did nothing to dissuade your excitement.
not at all.
Okay.
And the fact that they have a different Wonder Woman is interesting,
Yeah.
right? So that could be cool.
What do you think of the animation style?
I like it.
Yeah.
I like this animation style. I've liked it since Man of Tomorrow. It's got a very retro future
Mhm.
kind of vibe in some cases.
I think it mostly works. I think there are some the occasional movement hiccups that it looks like it is drawn to be a specific way to look hand drawn, but maybe they use a computer graphic element to it. There's one scene where like someone is walking and he just walks in such a way that is like not smooth. It's not. It's animated in such
Doesn't
a
have
way.
that kind of smooth.
Yeah, zhuzh.
Yeah.
I need a skosh of zhuzh.
A
It's
zhuzh
zhuzhless.
skosh.
Yeah. I need one zhuzh skosh.
A
And we
jigger
got
of
none.
zhuzh.
But otherwise, I like the style,
Mhm.
the approach to how they sort of
Yeah.
design the characters.
And it belies a very violent story, right?
Yeah.
It does not look like the animation style of something that can be very
That
gory.
violent, yeah.
And yet it has been in many of these movies.
Mhm,
Yeah.
Add a bit of blood.
Yeah. It's kind of like Venture Brothers style.
Yeah, it
Yeah.
does.
Yeah.
Yes, it does. That's true. So
Which is
Oh.
on Max now.
the one to watch.
The one to watch.
All right.
Yeah.
I haven't finished the seasons.
Okay.
I haven't finished a season.
You haven't finished a single season?
No.
This might not be the one
Okay,
to watch
this is-
for you.
I
Yeah.
gotta watch all the other ones before this
Whatever
one to
you
watch.
want is fine.
You know what? My favorite part of this movie,
What was it?
the sound that Diana's lasso makes. It's
What was
got this electric hum to
Hmm.
it. Very cool. You go back and watch the whole movie
Okay. No.
and just listen for the hum of the rope. It's
Wait,
very
once
cool.
I hear it, do I have to keep watching the movie?
to further appreciate it. Yeah.
I don't like this.
Anything else you want to say before we let these people go?
We could talk about some of our favorite DC animated movies if we wanted to.
We'll each do what's your favorite? Let's do our one.
Oh, I mean, I think New Frontier is
Is
still my favorite.
based on Darwin Cooks.
Yes. It was
Also
awesome.
titled
New Frontier.
titular New Frontier.
It is titular.
It's been titled.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
I was titled by it.
Yeah, it's so good. It's one of my all-time favorite graphic novels. I
Yeah.
will say
Yeah.
that New Frontier has a bit of a slow start. I thought the first issue on the dinosaur island with Sergeant Rock was like kind of a strange way to kick this all off.
Yeah.
But overall,
Yeah.
one of my all-time favorite DC graphic novels.
And there are some things. So I read the issues as they were coming out. And I remember absolutely loving the Flash issue. Right? Because he does.
Yes.
I mean, the Flash looks so good,
So good.
in that style.
Mhm.
And I mean, Darwin
He's
Cook's a great
perfect.
artist, but he's like, exactly. He's such
Yeah.
a great character for that,
Mhm.
in a different way, retro future kind
Yeah.
of high style,
Yeah.
like highly stylized kind of look.
1920s?
50s, I think.
50s?
Yeah.
Yeah, you're right.
Yeah.
1950s.
Um,
What's the would you want to give a quick breakdown of the story?
Okay, so it's really the introduction of the Silver Age,
Mm-hmm.
right? So you've got Barry Allen as the Flash shows up, Hal Jordan is probably the viewpoint character, definitely in the movie, where he had a terrible experience during a war that he was in, and he's gotten this ring, but he's like not sure he wants to use it.
His story's great too.
It's cool. And Batman transitioning from scary Avenger of the Night to, by the end, the Silver Age type Batman. Superman in his straight trunks.
Yo, I love his straight trunks.
Yeah. And
I love the Wonder Woman in this one.
Wonder Woman is great. And I also like that we've got Superman, Batman, and Wonder Woman are pre-existing heroes.
Yeah.
Mirroring in some ways the actual evolution in the comics, where they existed already. It was a world with just them. And then the explosion of heroes of the Silver Age, like Flash and Green Lantern, and I think Adam Strange is in it. I forget, but there's a lot of different. Aquaman shows up,
McCarthyism comes to mind. Am I correct?
It's absolutely in there, right? Because this was the 50s, and people start to be worried. I think
commies.
Yeah, which is what DC did for a time as to why the Justice Society wasn't around. Was because they had been kind of outed by the House Un-American Activities Commission and resigned.
Those guys.
Yeah, they sucked. Yeah.
Do not recommend them.
No, or anything of their like.
Yeah.
But so the one thing in the comic that I think, having read the comic first, I brought to the movie, but if you didn't read the comic, it wouldn't be there, was one of the coolest things about the Flash issue was he's running down the side of a building, disassembling this gun and like rewiring it in a way that Barry Allen, scientist, would know how to do.
Yeah.
And he's explaining it, and it's very cool. And that just isn't present in the movie.
Yeah.
Right? They can't, or for whatever reason,
At
just
the time.
for him to narrate that while he's in slow motion going down, they didn't want to do it. Which was really the only thing about the movie that I was like,
I wish I had that Flash bit.
That would be cool. Yeah.
Kevin's in the chat saying, I love the design of Wonder Woman in New Frontier. One of my favorite panels is just you see Wonder Woman and the way Darwin Cook draws her to be about just one head above Superman, and Superman is looking up at Wonder Woman, the Amazonian. And it's just such a great panel, and it just really is my favorite version of that character. And there's a scene where she frees a bunch of women who have been caged and assaulted and used, and all she does is open the cage, take the guns away from all the men who have been abusing them, and then say, here you go, and then leaves. And of course Superman's like, hey, you can't do that, and she's like, well, I did it. So it really brings to light the sort of the dichotomy between those two characters and the way they would take a stance on different
that's an interesting kind of gist of Wonder Woman in more modern comics, where I think Wonder Woman, for a lot of her history, writers have struggled to write her as anything other than Superman female. Yeah. Right? And one of the ways that they've gone is that she's a warrior. Yeah. And she will kill if necessary. And I noticed that in Warworld, too. She had no problem killing people. Yeah. Although, one thing we didn't talk about, Jonah Hex. Bad guy. Yeah. Unrepentant Confederate soldier. Ugly guy is evil. Yeah. Good-looking cowboy is good. Yeah. I was a little like, Jonah Hex is really...
Also, watching that movie, it seems like they even had... Remember, we were talking about them having shorts, right? Short, 3 different shorts. Yeah. And this felt like a Jonah Hex short, where Jonah Hex was the Wonder Woman character, and they just swapped out the characters to make her the man with no name, Clint Eastwood, Wild West character. Yeah. And they were like, whoa, we got this character, we'll make him a bad guy. It's Jonah Hex, it's the multiverse, who cares?
And even in the beginning was like, no, I'm a good guy. And he's like, he's definitely not a good guy. No.
I actually didn't mind that. Because I like Jonah Hex, the character. He's very cool.
Me too. Yeah.
And I was just like, oh, it's a multiverse. It's fine.
But he definitely is.
But I was surprised.
I was surprised too. Yeah. And he is of higher stature than Bat Lash is. You know what I mean?
Who's Bat Lash?
He's some Western cowboy from whenever times. And so
from like the Wild West times?
Yeah, probably.
Yeah, probably.
I don't know. I've never read
to make up a time.
Bat Lash comics. So I don't know.
I honestly didn't know Bat Lash was in the episode.
He was the handsome.
He was the handsome guy?
Yeah.
I was just like, ooh, who's that handsome guy?
Exactly.
Oh, I bet
Yeah.
he's the good guy because the guy with the ugly face is probably bad.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Because you're that way.
I am that.
Yeah.
Kevin says, "Did you read the BVS NF one shot? Batman versus Superman.
I don't remember
New
that.
Front. I remember there being a one shot, but I don't remember reading it. I just that it exists. What was it about? Was it about Batman
probably
versus Superman?
Batman versus Superman. Oh, I love that line where he confronts Martian Manhunter, who also has a very cool role.
He's got a great story.
Some of the only artist-specific action figures that I own are from that one.
Same.
And Batman confronts him, and he's like, "Oh, I bought $1 million rock for the alien, but with you, all I need is a penny for a book of matches."
Oh,
it's a good line.
That's a good line.
Yeah.
My favorite, which isn't New Frontier because you took it,
man.
Under the Red Hood.
Oh, yeah.
I love Under the Red Hood. That is it's really well animated. The pacing is really snappy, and there's no like downtime for me anyway. I was always a Red Hood Jason Todd fan.
Okay.
So watching that whole thing unfold was a lot of fun for me. And it's kind of neat. Did you ever watch the Death in the Family animated version?
I think so.
Half of it is from Under the Red Hood. They just took the scenes they already drew and just plopped it in.
Yeah.
Yeah,
but there was some weird stuff with that too, where you got to like choose different endings, right? So there was.
The problem is I watched it streaming, so
you cannot.
You can't choose unless there's a secret way.
Because there is for that Black Mirror Bandersnatch.
That was cool.
You can choose different things. That was cool.
Yeah.
I only watched it once though. Even though while I was watching it, I was like, I wonder if I did it a second time. No, I didn't do that.
Have you read Under Red Hood or did you watch it?
Mm-hmm. Both of those things.
Do you have thoughts?
I liked it a lot. In fact, so earlier we had longer lists than one, and I had on there Justice League versus the Teen Titans, which is also it's very Damian Wayne heavy, and I feel like there's a part of this animated continuity where it's just like 3 or 4 Batman family movies in a row that tell, and Under the Red Hood is part of that. I was trying to figure out which one, Justice League versus Teen Titans, and then there was like another one where Dick Grayson takes over as Batman. Yeah. And they're all part of kind of the same arc. Yeah. And I liked all of them. So I was up in the air of like, is it Under the Red Hood? Is it the Batman one?
There's Batman Bad Blood.
That's the
Justice
one
League versus Teen Titans, and then Judas Contract.
Oh, which was also very cool.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I gotta say, a lot of these DC animated films are from good to very good.
Yes. The very few that I did not like at all. I think the
Warworld.
first one. Yeah, that was
one I really don't like.
Okay, fair enough. But Superman Doomsday, the first one, was not great.
Lackluster. Yeah.
But it was still
the
like
Death of Superman and Reign of the Superman.
Oh, that was awesome.
They were like, this sucked. Let's go back and redo it.
Yeah.
It
was awesome.
Much better.
And I remember I was watching The Office right before I watched that, and Rainn Wilson does the voice of Lex Luthor.
Oh, no
And
kidding.
so I was like, still kind of as Dwight, you know.
That's funny.
That whole run of like 14 or so movies was great.
Justice League Dark was great.
Justice League Dark was awesome. Apocalypse War made it onto my list last week
was good.
Best R-rated animated movies.
That's right.
The whole like the fact that there was a continuity was cool.
Yeah.
And they did a good job with it. There was another one from before that, Justice League Doom, that retold the Tower of Babel storyline from the comics. Yeah. And it was a great movie, but I just wanted to bring up one line.
Let's do it.
From The Flash.
I'm ready.
Where his thing that Batman has worked out is that he's got this bracelet, that it will explode if he slows down or something. I don't remember what the conditions are, but
probably if he slows down. If it's for the Flash.
It's a reasonable guess.
Yeah.
So, but maybe not so good a guess because he can run very fast for a long time.
That's true.
Right? So maybe they should do
not
something
without
else.
some big belly burger.
Not Barry Allen. He doesn't need that.
That was a Wally West
bullshit.
thing. Yeah.
But and then Wally doesn't later. Yeah. So anyway, he's got this exploding thing, and Batman's like figured out a way. Yeah. And because this Flash can phase. He's like, if you go and phase through an iceberg, you'll be all right. He's like, are you far from the Arctic? And he's like, I'm never far from anywhere.
Oh,
it was a great Flash line,
I will say that talking about the first chunk of these DC animated films that were all in sort of one continuity, which ended with the sort of the Flashpoint, the Apocalypse War, the end of Flashpoint.
Yeah.
looking at Man of Tomorrow, Soul of the Dragon, World War II, Long Halloween 1 and 2, Injustice, Catwoman Hunted, Beware My Power, Battle of the Super Sons, Legion of Superheroes, The Doom That Came to Gotham, and then Warworld, inferior.
Yes, I agree. Now, not all of those are part of the continuity. Just like in the earlier ones, they would do some that weren't
One-offs.
part of the Gotham by Gaslight.
Yeah. Which I've never seen. How was Gotham by Gaslight?
It was good.
Yeah?
I really liked it. They made some really interesting choices that I don't know how many of them were from the original Elseworlds.
Yeah.
But
It's been so long since I've read the Mike Mignola original.
I don't remember a thing about it other than the general idea.
The gist.
Yeah.
It's like Batman and Jack the Ripper, basically, right?
And no, that's a different one.
Oh, shit.
No, I'm sorry. That is that. Okay, so there's Gotham by Gaslight.
And then the Doom That
and
Came
the
to
Doom
Gotham.
that came to Gotham. I was just speaking about the Doom That Came to Gotham.
Okay.
But both of them are great.
Gotcha.
Gotham by Gaslight is well worth watching. And as is the Doom That Came to Gotham, where they definitely do some, like, even for an Elseworld, it's like, oh, that's an interesting choice.
Nice.
That's a different way for that character to go than I would have thought. You know, that kind of thing. So, yeah, I'd watch both of those.
Oh, I will.
Good.
Yeah, because they're on my list.
Have like a late 1800s, early 1900s theme night.
Batman themed, yeah.
Yes.
Anything else you want to say before we GTFO, brother?
I'll tell you what, The Flash had some really good appearances in Batman Brave and the Bold, too.
Yeah.
You got to check those out, man. They're
He
great.
keeps telling me about Batman Brave and the Bold,
Oh.
which was a cartoon that is for small children.
No, that's what it looks like it is.
It does look that way.
Yes. And when the original promo images came out, before it came out,
Yeah.
I was like, oh, they're doing like a play school Batman?
This is what it looks like.
This sucks,
Yeah.
right? Like, we just had a different Batman, and now there's this, you know? And it's not that at all.
Oh, okay.
It's like the animation style is kind of that, but it is this like wonderful homage to Bronze and Silver Age Batman team-ups, kind of, and just like a more lighthearted Batman that still is aware of continuity from the 40s to Frank Miller, you know. There is a great episode with Superman. So if I was going to recommend, you should check that out.
Yeah.
Superman is exposed to red kryptonite.
Okay.
Some crazy stuff happens. Do you remember the website Super Dickory?
No.
Oh my God. You should check out Super Dickory.
Okay.
It's a website from years and years ago. I haven't gone on there in a while, but it began as examples of Superman being a dick. Because in the old Silver Age comics, a lot of the hook would be like this cover where you've got like Lois and Jimmy are crawling parched in the desert, and Superman's pouring out a pitcher of water, and he's like, no one gets a drop.
Classic Cal, man.
Right? And you're like, oh, why would Superman? So you read it, and there's a perfectly good explanation.
Yeah.
But it's just this website aggregates all of
That's
these.
awesome.
It's hilarious.
Yeah.
It also is where I first saw Batman's Greatest Boner comic strip.
Oh, sure, yeah.
Yeah. And I could, oh my God, I was like in tears from that one.
I'll check it out.
So there's some references to that in this. What's that?
Oh, okay. Oh, completely unrelated. Did you ever read Garfield minus Garfield?
Yes.
God damn
I love it.
That is so good.
John, the manic, insane figure.
Yeah,
yes.
Fucking psychopath.
I've also seen
If you haven't seen, go to Garfield minus Garfield. It's basically just Garfield comic strips from the newspaper, but Garfield's not in it, and so it's just John seeming completely more insane as the strip goes.
He just runs up to the air and yells at it and leaves, which is not that different from how it might be because Garfield and he do not speak to each other. Right. There's another one that has like pictures of an actual cat.
Yeah.
And it's the same bit. I think it's by the same people.
Yeah.
But it's
shit.
very funny.
But go ahead, I'm sorry.
So check out Super Dickory. Check out Garfield minus Garfield if you haven't, or in a while, either one. So yeah, Batman Brave and the Bold, the Superman episode is like just brilliant. Diedrich Bader does the voice of Batman.
Okay.
Henry Winkler does the occasional voice of Ambush Bug.
Oh.
Well, I think actually maybe in just one in the final episode.
Yeah.
And Paul Rubens is Batmite sometimes.
Yeah.
The show ends because Batmite wants a darker Batman.
Yeah.
And so he puts Batman through the paces of what would normally end a show.
Yeah.
Like having things that would only be made for an action figure.
Yeah.
And he rides the Bat Luge and whatever.
Yeah.
The Flash episode is phenomenal Flash stuff.
Oh, man.
Just like
Okay.
far and above. And then there's a like an anthology episode that has a short Flash and Reverse Flash story, I think. That's great.
Okay.
It's
Send
there's
me
some
those,
great stuff.
Send me the titles of those episodes, and
I
I'll
shall.
watch them
I shall.
for next week.
And Aquaman.
Yeah.
Oh my God, John DiMaggio, the guy that does Bender, and does possibly the best version of Aquaman, who is this like bombastic, self-infatuated, hero that like names his own adventures, and that kind of guy.
Sure.
All right, I'm going to send you 4 episodes.
Okay. I'm going to watch them for next week.
Nice. I love it.
All right. All right, guys. Thanks so much for hanging out with us. Hey, Dylan.
What have you been up to this week?
What have you been up to this week, huh?
I remembered what I was up to this
Oh,
week.
what was it?
What was it?
Yesterday I watched some of the new episodes of Futurama.
Oh, how
what
is
Hulu.
it?
Yeah. Yes.
It felt half-baked.
Oh.
It felt like Futurama for Futurama's sake,
Yeah.
but not the same caliber as the old show. I
Kind
thought
of how I felt about Arrested Development after season 3.
Yeah,
Well,
yeah,
yeah.
but even
I don't think it's
I
that.
think has certain aspects that I'm like, okay, yeah, I like that.
Yeah.
But like I like how they bring in Kyle Mooney to that. But yeah, the Futurama ones, like there were a couple jokes that got me, but I'm just like, that was a bad joke. Like I feel like they're just
They just lost the lightning. The lightning left the bottle.
Yeah, but it's very like self-aware. They're like, oh, they're talking about other TV shows. They're talking about All My Circuits. Like, didn't that show get canceled like 3 times? Like,
Yeah.
Yeah.
They started doing that after their first
In the
cancellation
first-
and coming back.
Right.
See,
Yeah. The
that's-
whole like Box Network thing when they went to
Right.
Comedy Central. Yeah.
Yeah.
I felt like it's about on par with the other reboot. Like, the original show was brilliant. It was
Yeah.
genius, And then the other reboot is, like, still good, but not as good. Similar to how The Simpsons transitioned from its greatness, but Futurama didn't have as far to fall, and it didn't fall as far. This one, I feel like, maybe is a slight step down from that. It's
Still worth it?
I think it's still worth it, but it's not must view, unfortunately. Like Dylan said, it's in some ways Futurama for Futurama's
like,
sake.
I don't even when I obviously picked up on they're joking about how they got canceled, but like the first time I watched Futurama, it was on streaming. I didn't watch it when it was coming out.
On network television.
Yeah.
The
So
Fox Network.
like for me, it was I didn't even necessarily notice the drop off when like Comedy Central picked it up and stuff. Like I still found things that I really enjoyed about it.
Yeah.
Oh, for
But,
sure. Yeah.
When was the episode where he and Leela they go through time multiple
That
times?
was
That's
the
how it
last
ended.
episode of, and
the
it's
very
also
first season, the very first
No.
series, or that's
No.
how the last
That's how the whole thing ended before Hulu.
before now.
Yes.
Yes.
Gotcha. That was a great episode.
And they pick
they
it up
pick it
right
up
from there.
right
yeah.
there.
Oh yeah.
Yeah,
You've seen some of the new season?
I've seen all but the most recent episode.
Yeah.
Was about a lockdown with something very much like coronavirus, and I was like, I don't feel like watching this. At the
yeah,
moment.
I don't.
Yeah.
Corona's too real. Like we
Yeah.
live that in real life. I don't want that in my
like there were
media.
shows that while it was happening took place. Like I remember a show called Superstore
Yeah.
that dealt with it as it was happening from the perspective of people who were in a superstore, but
Yeah.
it seemed different because they were reacting to something that was happening right then.
Right.
Right.
It was
And-
topical at the time.
Yeah, and this is like, oh, you're right. It's too recent. It's like it's too real. I mean, it's like I don't want to watch that really. Yeah.
All right. Well, maybe I'll give it a shot.
It's worth a shot.
Did you ever
Yeah,
watch
I'm definitely
Enchanted?
gonna keep watching it.
Oh yeah,
Like,
he's like,
yeah,
well, it's
like,
Futurama. What am I gonna
exactly.
do? Not watch it?
Right,
Exactly.
Yeah. Are you
Exactly.
insane?
Right.
Enchanted? Enchantment?
Disenchantment. Which I watched a little bit. I didn't really get into it.
Yeah.
And I just started, like, this week. I could have done it for a What You've Been Up To this week, huh?
Yeah.
But I didn't.
Okay.
But I did watch it.
You wanna do
And
next
it
week?
was, maybe.
Okay.
Huh.
Well, then shut up.
So,
All right. Thanks so much for hanging
All right.
out with us, and we will talk to you next week.
what if I don't do it next week?
I mean, we'll still talk at them.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
Yeah, maybe not about Disenchanted.
Man.
Yeah. Love you. Bye.